So season 6 released last week Wednesday, guys, and it came with detective missions, clothing stores, a bunch of fixes, and a lot more. But before we actually review season 6, I have to go back in time to season 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to give a review just so that I have a baseline to go off of. Now, really quickly, I'm going to briefly touch on what each of those season reviews are and why it is really quickly. But season 1, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Simply because of the fact it wasn't a TDU, honestly I might even drop it down a bit, but it wasn't a TDU game at launch. Insane network issues at launch as well. The car list, everything else was good, but you know, of course, how it launched season 1, not the best objective. Now season 2 brought a Ibiza, 900-degree steering, networking was improved, so I'll give it 7 out of 10. Season 3 did a full 180 on the direction of what TDU is and what TDU should be, and I'll give it 8 out of 10. There was delivery missions, we probably paused races, there was solo mode in races, there was so much stuff that honestly proved, okay, we're not going in the same direction we were before, it's changed, so I give it that. So for season 4, I'm going to give it a 6.75 out of 10, and honestly, it probably could have been easily a lot higher, but the casino was a bit of a letdown. Don't get me wrong, from concept art to final rendering, it was definitely a change in the right direction to a more less futuristic life. But when you think about it, although we got the casino car, the slot machine, and of course clothing stores, of course when you compare it to TDU2, you realize how lackluster it actually was. I mean, you're missing a lap around the casino island, although the island is apparently on Macau, so any race anyways, another way to get the actual vehicle itself. Then you're missing roulette, you're missing poker tournaments, and poker, remember, wasn't at launch of season 4. In fact, it arrived in season 5, and you only had one slot machine at the launch of season 4. A second slot machine was brought in the mid-season update. So when you think about it, guys, honestly, it was unfortunate. In hindsight, like, I would have probably thought maybe a different game mode than poker would have been better. Maybe even easier to develop as well, like blackjack, or I think blackjack would have been the better option. I think about roulette, but I think blackjack is better because it's more engaging and it can be solo or PvP played, or sorry, I think it's PvE. I don't think blackjack is PvP, it's more PvE, if that makes sense, if I remember correctly. But yeah, anyways, the casino honestly was a letdown. I think it wasn't the best season. The quality of life features in that update carried it for sure. Off the top of my head, I remember there was a GPS stuff that came in. I probably have to go back to the letter to really double check, but I remember there was definitely a lot of quality of life improvements to the game for that update. But yeah, the casino honestly missed the mark, and even now I still think it's needs room for improvement. But when you consider that we have to focus on things that all players can enjoy, because nowadays government restrictions kind of make it a bit more tough. I don't think the casino is something we should focus on anytime soon. There's so many other things I think that could be done to the Test Drive Unlimited franchise and TDUSC itself to improve the player base and how the player base interacts with the game before even touching the casino again. Anyways, that said, season 5. So season 5, of course, marks the 2-year mark for Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown. Now, this update brought a lot. KT Engine, the first Hong Kong Island reworks, taxi missions, which honestly are a banger, I think, as well, and a lot more quality of life improvements with the game. Now, I have to separate this review really quickly into two, because the launch was not the best. In fact, it might have been the worst seasonal launch for TDUSC. There was the HDR issue, there was the bugs for AMD people. It was quite a lot, honestly. So launch, I'm gonna give it 6.5, but after the hotfix, which was the first hotfix they've ever done, I'm gonna bump it up to at least a 7.5. Dare I say, I could probably go all the way up to 8. It kind of winded it down a bit to the later stages. Luckily, the online store cars kind of at least added some new content, and then there was those final live events leading to season 6 that I think were really good live events, and also brought a nice live event of reward with it. But yeah, season 5, I think after the hotfix was definitely a pretty decent season. So yeah, at least a 7.5. I'm going to have to give that. But now let's talk about season 6. Now for season 6, I'm going to give it at least a 7 out of 10. There are some issues which I'll get into later. Before we get into the topic of season 6, I quickly want to talk about what's next. We have season 7 and season 8 confirmed so far. I'm hoping season 7 can be at least a 7 out of 10. I think it could be 8 out of 10. It depends on how the new live enhancements are set up with the new solar pass engagement and the new live event engagements. I think there's definitely some room to improve that. The official racing center is supposed to be arriving mid-season. With that, we will have a much more improved PvP scenario, but I assume there's also some stuff about networking which have to improve for that to work really well. I really hope, of course, there's also things like cross-region and crossplay that are missing from the game, which I don't expect to have ready for the ORC either. But it would be nice if it is, but honestly, there's no confirmation on that. But anyways, and then there's also Season 8 with houses, which honestly, I don't want to overhype it too much. We haven't really spoken on it, but as a TDU fan and as someone who wants houses to be one hell of a bar set by Casey and the team for TDUSC, I think the players are going to be pretty excited when they see it in action for the very first time. But I can't really say much more than that. I would much rather you guys see it all at once when the time is right, when you guys are ready to see Season 8 houses. That all said, let's talk about Season 6. Let me explain to you why I've come to this review for Season 6. We're going to cover the top 2 topics right now. First, optimization. Now, you guys know optimization is a big thing that is definitely hindering the experience of what Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown is trying to offer players, especially on PC. In order to increase the player base, you have to open up the audience. And in order to do that, they have to have the game playable on a wide range of PCs. And right now, to really get enjoyment out of the game, the beautiful graphics and everything, because the game is not really ugly if you can play it on a powerful PC, but the optimization needs to really improve to help increase that. And honestly, I get it. Okay, by Season 8, they really have to push for that. But it also doesn't go without saying, console users also need an optimization improvement as well. Whether it's the resolution, whether it's more stable frame rates, whether it's just frame rate improvements in general. That's something that needs to happen for TDUSC as well. But I do have to say that they have done a pretty good job on Xbox Series X. And a huge shout out to this YouTuber, Motor Games TV. I'll leave his video link in the description below. But he did a comparison on the Xbox Series X before and after. And honestly, guys, it's a massive difference between the two. And this is good because it means when you're on the Xbox Series X, you can finally enjoy the game at a much more improved resolution. Because don't get me wrong, things like textures, things like vehicle modeling, all that, of course, you can increase. But if you don't have the resolution to display it at, if you're displaying the game at 480p, not saying TDUSC is at 480p, but obviously one looks much better than the other. And with that being said, the resolution bump from 1080 to 1440p is a really good one. And personally, as a PC gamer, when I went from 1080 to 2K, it's a massive difference. You can't go back to 1080 once you try 2K. But that said, honestly, really happy to see that there is Xbox Series X improvements, but PS5 missed out on it. I really hope they can get that on PS5 as well, because that's the only reason I can't give it a higher thing. And optimization, when I say 7 out of 10, I'm not saying this game's 7 out of 10 optimization right now. I'm saying for what we were offered in the season, especially on the Series X, it's a pretty good optimization update for you guys. But again, there's still much way to go, regardless of the fact optimization was pretty good on Series X. Now, networking, the second most important thing. I'm a bit disappointed with this one. Now, you guys know there were network fixes in Season 6, and it did make the social hub experience much better. Honestly, being able to see people in the social hubs, whether they're in dealerships, workshops, the business lane HQ, the solar hotel, it's massively improved to the point where honestly you can see so many players now. I don't know if it's because there's just more players now than there were before, but I think it's the fact that now you're just getting put into the same lobby more times than not, which is really good to hear. But that's where it's good. But now where it's bad is the free roam and grouping sessions. And this is something that's on all platforms, whether you're on PC, Xbox Series X or Series S, or of course PS5 as well. And I mean, you guys, I'll talk about it later, but honestly, it's probably the biggest hinder experience for Season 6, especially if you want to group up with your friends. You guys already know stuff like cross-region and crossplay missing already significantly reduces the ability to see other players in free roam and all that. So you want to be able to group up with your friends, at least experience some nice stuff, but you can't. I will say races though, whoa, I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but races definitely do work well. Sometimes they hit or miss, but I can confidently say now I can go into a race and I can expect to be able to start the race with majority of the people in the race lobby. I know I uploaded a video yesterday showing the 8-player groups, but I was also honest in that video. It was lucky. I have the YouTuber, well, I have two privileges. The first privilege is the fact that I'm a YouTuber, so if I want to say, hey guys, join me for a cruise, odds are I could probably get a full lobby. The other privilege is that, well, I think that's just the main privilege, to be honest. Yeah, okay. I don't know why I said two. That's the main privilege. But the other thing is, it still takes a while to group up. Like, I cannot go into test drive if I open up the game right now. Now I'm like, okay, hey guys, let's get into a group. Let's go for a cruise. I cannot willingly accept that it will for sure work first try, or maybe not even second or third or fourth or fifth. You guys see my streams. My streams aren't hidden. You see them live. Sometimes it takes half an hour, maybe sometimes even an hour for us to get everyone into a group, because right now to get like 8 players, you have to do 2 groups. You got to go into the HQs, you got to leave, you got to sync. Honestly, I found that Ibiza is better than Hong Kong Island, but it's a mixed bag, guys. I cannot say consistently I can go and cruise with others. Sometimes when I'm not in a group, okay, I can see random people in free roam sometimes and it works, okay. But honestly, there needs to be a massive improvement to networking on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. And me, I know there is stuff in the works. There's the Service V2, where they're rewriting the whole network infrastructure, and this is where I honestly, you can see the mistakes of the past hitting the or what's the word I'm looking, the mistakes from the past are affecting the game now. Because when you think about it, what I understand is that there's only so much you can polish something that's bad, right? And I think just from the get-go, how the network was written, I mean, then there's cross-region and there's crossplay that's missing from this game, which I'll get into later, but you can only do so much to what you have existing, where you're just like, okay, you know what, we have to rewrite the whole thing, start from scratch, start fresh, and build a proper network code. I think that's literally what has to happen, because there's only so much you can do, and this is probably the best that's possible. Maybe they can improve grouping and free roam a bit on this pre-Service V2 infrastructure, but I really hope you don't have to wait for Service V2 to see a complete fix, although honestly that is what I'm expecting. But I do hope when it does come, it has to really show the players that it's a massive difference between now and when it arrives. But honestly, networking is just really tough, guys, and it's a disappointment because Test Drive Unlimited especially is literally, the whole thing is about socializing, cruising vibes. If you don't have that, you know what I'm saying? And don't forget, the ORC is mid-season, which I would assume you probably need to do Service V2 by then, because to group people in a playlist and consistently have it working with no errors, that's a tough thing, you know? So there's a lot of work, and I know the network team is working hard to deliver that, but unfortunately the network fell short, and that's why I'll give it like a 6 or 5 out of 10 for the launch of Season 6. Hopefully it does improve though, but that's just my thoughts and opinions on the network. Because again, although it does work really well in social spaces, of course, like free roam and grouping is the most important part of a test drive game, so it gets a higher weight in this score, and that's why it weighs it down. But anyways, those are the first 2 most important things that we have to talk about regarding the game. Now let's talk about, of course, the detective missions. Easily 8 out of 10. And I say this as someone who, again, I personally wish photo mode won. Well, I told you guys, when we did the community vote, I already knew Detective Mission was going to win I even was hoping photo mode, bro. I tried to give photo mode like as much detail. You get a new photo mode, you get photo missions, but improved. And I heard the idea from KT. It was beautiful, but of course the community wanted detective missions. Okay, not bad, whatever. But detective missions were a lot better than what I expected, to be honest with you. There's a whole community thing which I can't really talk about, but no one has solved it yet. But there's actually individual stories between each one. There's also wiretapping where you get to hear the lore and story of the characters, and sometimes you have to wiretap more than once, and the rewards are really good. The spawn rate of them are here. The spawn rates, bro, don't even get me started. The spawn rate is crazy. KT, I really hope you change the spawn rate because, bro, the spawn rate of detective missions right now, bro, they're crazy. I can't lie. I can't lie. Or at least rebalance it. I don't know. But hopefully in the mid-season update, you guys rebalance it. But yeah, detective missions, apart from that, honestly, there are a total amount of fun. I love doing them. They you can role play really well as well. My only critique is some missions where you start don't make sense. Like the parking garage, okay, makes sense. I'm parked next to the guy, I pull off after him. But some of them, I'm parked right behind the taxi and we go together. Bro, that's sus. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard because how would you do the intro and stuff like that? Like how the camera is like played out, you'd have to think how you, it's not as easy as, okay, let's spawn the car on the intersection ahead, because then you think, okay, how do we do the intro? How will the intro guide? Will it smoothly create? And honestly, I can't see them being able to redo the whole intro cinematic for every mission for mid-season updates, but they are going to prove the difficulty of it. So stuff like using your horn, driving on the wrong side of the road, drifting, revving, causing attention, stuff like that will instead actually increase the detection state of the actual gameplay mode. So some really exciting things are coming mid-season on the difficulty improvements and the roleplay improvements, which I do love. But for me, detective missions, honestly, they were much better than I expected. So for me, 8 out of 10. Clothing stores, 7.5 or 8 out of 10 easily, because one, when you compare it to TDU2, it was literally the same store design with only the color of the stores changed. But these are actual proper stores, beautifully designed. There's a difference between the streets and the sharps. I do hope for more clothing stores later, of course. It would be beautiful, or even like accessory stores or a tattoo shop. Bro, honestly, you could go so crazy with the test drive DNA. But anyways, back to clothing stores. It's TDU DNA ticked off. Another thing, I'm not saying it's complete, but it's part of the TDU DNA that's ticked off now. Doesn't get a full 10 out of 10, and I think it would be easy to, because there's only two things, or honestly really, well, yeah, two things that's missing. One, we need more clothes, which is happening, I think, mid-season update, not too certain, but all the clothes right now, or most of them, are actually in the Street or Sharp Clan HQ on Hong Kong Island. I do hope they move that or evenly distribute it between the two. The other thing is that when you go to your wardrobe, I want to see the background of the store, like in TD2, where you're in the closet, the mirrors behind you. I want to see that rather than the gradients that you have behind you. Something like that is what I'd love to see in clothing stores as opposed to what we have now. But that's just my review on clothing stores. The fact that you can see other people's cars outside is fucking crazy. For me, that's how you not only elevate, I mean, it's missing some stuff from TD2, of course, like as I mentioned, the closet, but the fact that you have this now massively improved, it gives you much hope for the future of immersion. When you go to spots, you can see cars outside. Imagine if we got a rework of dealerships or a rework of workshops and you had the window outside. Well, workshops wouldn't make sense, your car would be inside, okay, but dealerships, you have a parking lot which is missing, but you can see people's cars parked in front of the dealership as you're browsing. Guys, it gives me so much hope for something like that. But anyways, that I love that feature. Is beautiful. So quality of life features, I think there were some pretty decent ones this season. Of course, you have a list voice being changed. Such a beautiful touch, honestly. I can't even explain to you guys. When you cruise on Ibiza now and you hear Alyssa's natural voice, it's like you get a lot more nostalgic than you would previously. But that's really nice to have. You have the casino voices, changes the casino by far, honestly. Even when you play poker and you hear the voices flop, river, etc., it's nice to hear that now. Going through the stores, now when you like cash out, you'll hear them be like, how can I help you today? Why can't I want to hear that in the stores too, the clothing stores. Just remembered, that's what's missing. I want to hear when I go to the store and I click on, hey, can I check the store? I want it to be like, hey, welcome to these streets store. How may I help you? You can click on browse or wardrobe. I think that is kind of missing, but that would be, I'd love that anyways. Other quality of life features, the 10 GPS thing is really good. It would be so much better used if grouping and network free roam worked. Guys, could you imagine the races I could do? Bro, I'm so sad. I'm so sad, bro. The fact it doesn't work, and the fact we're missing 8-player groups anyways, because you can only share the routes GPS with players in your group, and I only have 4 max, so hey, it's a bit tough regardless. But anyways, yeah, that quality of life feature, nice. It sets itself up for the future, but I need to see some of those network improvements to really use it to its full advantage. Car list, 9 out of 10. Don't care what anyone says, easily 9 out of 10. I say this, think about it. SLS AMG Black Series, Bentley convertible, which is supposed to be the W12 version, that's being fixed next update. You also have the Tamario, you have the Pininfarina B95, which although is electric, honestly, it's a pretty obscure car, and as a test drive game, obscure cars make sense. The Alpine A110 RL Team, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful car. Honestly, it's very quick, very nimble, I love it. And the Bugatti Huayra Roadster. Guys, I think this is the best post-launch or like group of post-launch vehicles that we've gotten since since ever. I think they really cooked with the car list on this update. It's going to be hard to beat it, but I think it can be beat later in year 2. Well, you guys will just have to wait and see. But that's my opinions on that. Next, I want to talk about really quickly though is the pricing and monetization stuff, because there are some things that I think weighed this game down a bit. I touched on it. I've what do you call it? Yeah, I've touched on it on not to the video before, but the video before that when I went over the car list. But some things that are missing regarding that is the fact that, well, one second, the ratio of free cars to paid is a bit tough. I mean, right now 7 cars are total in the updates, and only 2 are free. 1 is in the dealership and 1 is in the free solo pass track. But that being said, I really do hope at some point they can improve that ratio, because 7 to 2 isn't a good ratio, you know what I'm saying, guys? Another thing is being able to buy vehicles outside of the bundle. So right now, in order to get the SLS AMG Black Series and the Bentley, you have to purchase the entire bundle. I know that's expensive, and it's also losing out on sales, because there are players who will not buy the bundle. No matter what, they will not buy the bundle. They'll say, whatever, bro, I just won't buy it. And they want to be able to buy things individually from the bundles. That is in development. But I will add one more point about the whole online store and car variant thing topic to this case. This might be a hot take, but hear me out. It is slightly okay. I'm not saying it's 10 out of 10 scenario, but considering that they're only variants of existing vehicles, until that topic changes, I feel like it's actually not all that entirely bad, especially when it's just variants. Okay, of course, the SLS I know is a DLC car, in fairness, so that one's kind of double locked. But when you think about the other vehicles, such as the Alpine, even backtracking further, the Huracan Storato, for example, versus the Huracan Performante already in the dealership, the BMW and GTR and F-150 all already being vehicles in the dealership, but now just special versions in the online store. So it's not actually entirely like, oh my god, brand new cars in the store that I'm missing out on. They're just variants and fairness, especially what the ones that season 5 were. If you didn't get them, it's not like you're missing out of an entirely different experience of what TDUSC has to offer. But hot take, I already know there's gonna be people that are like, yo, I already know there's gonna people gonna say that to me. But guys, I have to see both sides and also be honest, because that's how I truly think. If it was brand new cars, bro, of course. So honestly, I think the weight of the issue is a bit lifted due to that. So would I recommend season 6? Now I'm going to have two opinions of this answer, based on players who don't already have Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown and players who already do. Now, if you already have Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown, you already beat my first hurdle, and my first hurdle I'll explain later. But for me, season 6 is a pretty good update. Of course, there's if you're on Series X, there's definitely those. If you're on Series X, you definitely can notice an improvement in the actual graphics of the game with a resolution bump on performance mode. Then you got things like the detective missions, which honestly I think are really engaging. There are some issues with them, I think, that I have recommendations, which I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video. But detective missions are really fun. I love them. I enjoy them. And you got the quality of life features, which I think they've done really well on, especially the list of casino voices. It's nice to revisit the casino to give us more incentive to go back, just to refreshen the experience that we had. The Hong Kong Island rework definitely makes things a lot more improved when you drive around the whole island. Even when you do races again, you notice that, whoa, this is different. Oh, you know, it's really nice to see. You have clothing stores, which is just going even further in the Test Drive Unlimited DNA. You're the best car list. Honestly, like, guys, season 6 in my opinion is a pretty good season. Some less content compared to what you could compare to other seasons, but I think the real big content hitter is season 8 with houses regardless. But that said, honestly, season 6, I enjoy it. You guys see me enjoying it. I love it. And yeah, I would still recommend you to head into season 6 if you already own Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown. If you don't already own Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown, and you're either looking for a TDU game or you're just looking for another open world racing game, and you like cruising, you like the lifestyle stuff that TDU offers that other games don't offer, I don't think any game is going to offer anytime soon, I still cannot recommend this game. And I'm being totally honest with you guys, because I say this every time. I personally cannot recommend this game for purchase until it's a fully fledged TDU game. I mean, I'm a Test Drive Unlimited YouTuber. Of course, me recommending a game that's not Test Drive Unlimited DNA'd is like against my whole philosophy. So, and you guys know this even before this game launched. I will never forget. I don't know why people say this isn't like a fact. I told you guys this is not going to be a TDU game at launch. It needs at least 2 years of like post-launch support to be able to get it there. And I cannot recommend this game, and I cannot recommend you to buy it until it's a TDU game. I've said that in every single video before launch, after launch, and even now. That is as honest as I can get, and it's a shame that some people don't think I like. Anyways, that's a whole other topic, bro. I'm not even gonna bother to get into. But anyways, yeah, when this game is a fully fledged TDU game, and of course, there's stuff like network and optimization that has been improved with it, I will for sure say I recommend this game. Regardless, I enjoy it, and maybe even you will if you don't already have the game and you're looking to get into it, regardless of the reviews. Maybe you'll be like, yeah, you know, I kind of like it as well. And there are players like that. It's not just me. There are other players who do enjoy this game for what it is, and that's not to say it's not a TDU game at all. I think it's definitely at least halfway there, but it needs to get fully there until I can recommend it. But anyways, let me know your thoughts of this review in the comment section below. Are you enjoying season 6? What are your thoughts on season 6? How do you find detective missions and all that? Let me know in the comment section below. Other than that, guys, you all already know what it is. I'm Alex7, and I'll see you guys in another video. I'm out, guys. Peace.